I started my own online business and I scaled it from zero to consistent $50,000 months within my first 12 or so months. Here you can actually see a screenshot where I made $57,000 in the month of January 2024. And in the prior month, in December 2023, I made $55,000. Last month in August, I made $63,000 from August 1st to August 31st. And in total, I've been building my business for literally the last 2 or so years. Coming October will be the 2-year mark. And I've made a total of $752,000. And pretty much all I do is I send simple 4-line emails to help businesses get more customers, get new clients. That's what I do. And the specific business model that I use to do this is called a lead generation agency. And in today's video, I will be walking you through exactly how this works, the processes behind it, the typical timelines that someone can go from zero to their first client to 10K per month to 50K per month, and how you can go about and do this yourself. And just for a little bit more background context, what I'm sharing with you today not only worked for me, but it worked for other people as well. So for example, I'm just jumping into the Discord right now, and there's actually a guy in here. His name's called Spencer. And over here, if you read this message, he said sharing a more macro win, been in the group since April. So he started his own lead generation agency in April. Right now it's August. And he's approaching his first 20K month. And he's doing this with basically no employees, right? Still without hiring a single person. So he's doing this by himself. He's approaching his first $20,000 month. And that's what he's been able to do, right? We have Evan who closed a new deal and he's making around 10K per month from that client. Up above, we have Ron who signed a client for $1,200 for 2 months, and he's making money as well, right? And here are just some of the other people who are using this exact business model where they're sending emails and they're able to make money from their own lead generation agencies, right? And even for Spencer, the guy I just showed you who's approaching his first 20K month, I actually did an interview with him on this YouTube channel a few months earlier when he got to his first 11K month, and this is kind of what he said.
From a setup perspective, out of my 3 clients, I'm at about 11,000, and then on.
So he made $11,000. So in today's video, I'll be walking you through exactly how you can replicate this and copy paste this entire business model so that you can start an online business and see success from doing this. So in case you don't know who I am, my name is Jim Fung. I started my own lead generation agency in October 2022. Before I started my own lead generation agency, I was actually flipping burgers at McDonald's, hated my job. I was also $15,000 in credit card debt, and I started 2 other businesses. I tried dropshipping. I tried building my own marketing agency, didn't make any money. It was pretty much a massive failure, and I basically didn't have any experience. Here's a picture I took around 2 or 3 weeks ago when I picked up my new car. It's my dream car. It's an AMG C43. And this all happened in literally the last 2 years, in literally the last 24 months. And just to jump right into it then, what exactly is a lead generation agency? So I'm talking about this, and this is the specific business model that I used in order to achieve all of these things, right? And personally, I think this is the best business model for beginners. And here's why. So I want you to think for just a second. What is the most important thing to businesses? Well, according to Google, the most important thing to businesses are customers. Because without customers, a business is essentially going to go bankrupt. It's going to go under. It's not going to make any money. It won't make any revenue, right? So a lack of customers equals to a loss of profits. Pretty simple concept. I don't feel the need to go in more detail about this because it's pretty straightforward. A business that's struggling is a business that is struggling to acquire new customers. So with that in mind, what exactly is a lead generation agency? Well, according to ChatGPT, a lead generation agency is a company that helps other businesses find potential customers who are interested in buying the products or the services. That's what a lead generation agency is. So in relation to what we just talked about earlier, the largest problem a business can have is not finding more customers. And what you're doing as a lead generation agency is helping these businesses find more customers. You're solving a massive problem that businesses have. And as a result, you're getting paid as a result because people make money in business by solving problems for other people, and they charge money to solve those problems. So there are actually more than 3 million B2B businesses in the US. So B2B is businesses to businesses, so businesses that sell their products or services to other businesses. So as a lead generation agency, we're working with B2B businesses. We're not working with B2C. So for example, we're not going to be working with realtors that sell homes to regular people. We're not going to be working with gyms who sell gym memberships to regular people. We're working with B2B businesses. So for example, a marketing agency or a recruitment agency, they sell their service to another business. business, right? And while I was putting this video together, I actually found these two articles, both from Forbes, that both suggest that lead generation is a billion-dollar problem for most companies. So this kind of reinforces the point that this is a massive problem. In fact, a literal billion-dollar problem. Here's another statistic. It says lead generation as an industry is expected to grow to a $31 billion industry by 2031, right? And here's actually a quote from Elon Musk where he says, you get paid in direct proportion to the difficulty of problems that you solve. And the reason I put this over here is I want you to keep this in mind as you're going through this video. The problem with most business models that you see online is they're not really solving a real problem. So when I was doing dropshipping, I was buying all these cheap products from China and trying to sell them for like 20, 25 bucks. But people don't really want those products because they don't solve problems. When I was running my own marketing agency, the reason I failed was because I was selling ads, I was selling email marketing, and the truth is no one really wants those services because they're not really solving a massive problem. But you know what is solving a massive problem? Well, lead generation is solving a massive problem because again, we just talked about it. Lead generation is a literal billion-dollar challenge for most businesses. So how exactly do we help businesses find more customers? Well, there's a lot of different channels out there to help businesses find more leads and find more customers. But the one that is 100% the easiest to start as a complete beginner is something called cold emails. So based on Google, I asked what a cold email is, and it says that a cold email involves sending out highly personalized emails to someone who you don't have a prior connection with. So essentially what this means is you're emailing these random people and you're basically saying, hey, this is what our product or service does. Are you interested? That's essentially all a cold email is. Cold emails are very simple. They're very short. The best cold emails are all literally 4 lines short, right? Very, very simple. And here are 2 examples of cold emails that I actually found in my inbox of other people trying to cold email me. And I'm not saying you should copy these, but I just wanted to include these so that you have a better idea as to what a cold email is. So this person says, hi Jim, I hope you're well. I want to make you an offer. There's a video editing type of service, type of offer that they're selling. Very, very short. We have another cold email. Hi Jimmy, happy Tuesday. I came across your Twitter account and I figured you might be interested in growing your YouTube audience. So again, this is a cold email. And if you look at these 2, these are super short cold emails. Literally anyone can do this. If you can write at a 5th grade level, then you can send these emails. It's very, very simple. Most people overcomplicate this process, but that's all it is. Cold emails, you're going to use that to reach out to random businesses to pitch your service or pitch your client's service. And as a result, your clients or businesses will be able to find new customers and find new clients. So in relation to cold emails is actually extremely, extremely effective for B2B. And here's another statistic that says cold emails is one of the most effective tactics in a B2B salesperson's arsenal. 71% of buyers actually want to hear from sellers when they're exploring a new product or idea. So again, this statistic really proves that cold emails is the best channel for generating leads, for generating customers, and finding people who are interested in buying a product or service. Again, it's the most beginner-friendly way in order to actually create interest in a product or service. It doesn't take that much time. And as you saw earlier, it's very, very simple to write. So why does a lead generation agency, why does this business model work so well? Maybe you're looking or thinking about other business models, but it really boils down to 3 things. The first thing is a lead generation agency is extremely, extremely simple. All you're doing is you're using cold emails, these simple 4-line cold emails. You're reaching out to businesses to, number 1, get a client for yourself. And then once you have a client, you're doing the exact same thing to help your clients get more customers. So what you're doing is by you doing it by yourself first, you're learning how it works, you're building proof of concept, and on an actual sales call, once you generate interest for yourself, you're literally able to tell businesses, hey, so think about how we were able to set up this call right now. Well, we emailed you, you were interested, you jumped on a call, and you are going to be our client. That's exactly what we're doing for you as well. So it's very, very simple. You don't really need to learn a bunch of different things. All you really have to learn is how to do cold emails. The next point is this extremely high demand. And the reason why is because this is a massive problem. Every single business needs more customers. All 3 million of those B2B businesses that we saw in the statistic earlier, they need more customers. There's high demand and just simply not enough people who are able to do this. Not many people talk about lead generation. Not many people talk about lead generation agencies. There's just simply not that many people who know about this and that it even exists, really. And the third point is this is solving a real problem. So again, the problem with most business models is they're not really solving a real problem. And the quickest way to make money in business is to solve someone else's problem and charge money for the solution. So that's exactly why this business model works so well as a lead generation agency. So that's basically what it is at a high level. That's a little bit more background context onto what a lead generation actually is and how I was able, while using this business model, to go from 0 to 10K in literally my first 90 days, how I was able to scale to $50,000 months in my first 12 months, and how I've made basically 3/4 of the way to $1 million over the last 2 years. So I actually wanted to break this down a little bit further. If you want to start your own lead generation agency, what are the main things that you need to focus on, the step-by-step process in order to actually do this? And I broke this down into a series of steps. So the very first thing that you have to do in order to start your own lead generation agency is number one, pick a niche. Because again, there are 3 million, more than 3 million B2B businesses in the US alone. So what that means is if we're expanding that statistic out to Canada, I'm from Canada, if you're expanding it out to Canada, to the UK, Australia, New Zealand, basically any country, there would be multiples more than 3 million. But the problem is you can't just send emails to all 3 million B2B businesses. You want to be relevant and you want to be targeted. So what you want to do is pick a niche or pick an industry to sell your lead generation services to. And the main things you want to keep in mind is what are your previous experiences? If you're working a job right now, what industry is that profession in? What do you study in school? What are some of your hobbies? What are your key existing skills? And if I was sitting here watching this video right now and you're telling yourself, well, I don't really have that much experience. I'm flipping burgers at McDonald's just like I was studying in school. I don't really know what I'm doing. Well, the truth is you probably still do have a hobby. You probably still do have skills of some form. So you need to sit there and think a little bit as to what your skills, hobbies are, what your experiences are, and pick a B2B industry to sell lead generation services to. So for example, a really good industry to pick is recruitment. That's the industry I started with, right? And the reason why I pick recruitment agencies is because when I first started my business, I was in my final year of university. And a lot of my friends were getting hired for full-time jobs coming out of university. And I realized that recruitment is a really relevant industry. I don't have any recruitment experience, but I did do like different internships. I had friends who got jobs who went through that recruitment process. So I felt like I had pretty decent idea as to how the industry works. That's a really good industry and that's what I started in. But when you're picking a B2B industry, there's really only 3 things that you need to keep in mind. The first is it has to be high ticket. So what this means is you have to choose an industry where the businesses inside of that industry are selling the services for thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. Because if they're only selling the service for, let's say, $500, they're simply not making enough money for you to charge $2, $3, $4, $5,000. They're just not. The reason recruitment agencies work so well for me is because the average recruitment agency makes 20, 30 grand for every single client they bring on. So what that means is I'm able to literally charge $3,000. My first client paid me $3,000 because he's making enough money to charge me, for me to charge him $3,000, right? So you got to keep that in mind. The second thing you have to keep in mind is it has to be B2B. We literally just talked about this. It cannot be B2C. And the third thing you have to keep in mind is they do have to check their emails regularly. Now, thankfully, most businesses or business owners, they do check their emails pretty frequently. So this really shouldn't be something that is of a massive concern, but just make sure you're choosing an industry that does check their emails. And just for a little bit more context, a little bit more examples, right, as to different industries, right? So there's a guy that I'm working with. His name's called Franco. He's also working with recruitment agencies, and he signed his first client for $1,100 for his first month. We have Christian, who's working in the real estate niche, where he signed a client for $1,500 up front and a $2,000 a month monthly retainer, right? So Christian is in the real estate niche. Franco is in the recruitment niche. There's a lot of other people who are succeeding and making money in niches such as marketing agencies, software companies, IT companies. The list goes on. There's just so many B2B industries. You could just do a quick Google search on Google to come up with a list. So the very first thing you want to do is pick a niche. Now, the second thing, and here's kind of the meat of the actual business model and how it all works. You have to do cold emails. Again, cold emails is traffic generation because it's cool that you're selling lead generation as a services. It's cool that your client sells something, a service or a product, but if no one hears about them, if no one knows who you are, then you're simply not going to get paid. It's a very simple concept. If a billion people knew who you are, it doesn't matter what you're selling, people will still want to work with you. You find at least one person out of the billions of people that exist who want to pay you money and work with you for your business, right? So the question that you need to solve, that you need to figure out is how do you cold email effectively? And the way you want to cold email effectively is you're not spamming people. You're sending a lot of cold emails, but there's a massive difference between an effective cold email and just spamming people. I'm sure we've all gotten those emails from some random person saying, hey, my cousin just died and they have $5 million in a bank account. Can you help me retrieve the funds, right? That's a spam email. That's very different from an effective cold email. The next point is an effective cold email is relevant. So based on the niche that you picked earlier, your messaging in your cold email will be relevant to those people. The third one is it has to explain what you do in a very simple sentence. So if we saw the two examples earlier that I showed you about the video editing over here, both of these cold emails, especially this one, they're very clear in terms of what they do, right? I came across your Twitter account. I figured you might be interested in growing your YouTube audience. We help Twitter influencers build a YouTube sales funnel that generates 10 to 30 qualified sales meetings every single month. So that email is extremely clear in terms of what it does and how it helps, right? And finally, an effective cold email should generate interest and generate replies to your message. So when you're sending these cold emails, you need to be getting replies. And if you're not getting replies, it means that you're just not that relevant. You're saying the wrong things, or you're not explaining what you do, or you're just selling something that people just simply don't really want. And a good mindset to have when you're sending cold emails is just asking yourself, why should someone care? If I received your email, why should I care about what you have to say? And back to that example I literally just shared, if I were to reply to that email of the YouTube sales funnel services, the reason I care is because I want to grow on YouTube and I want to generate and sign more clients from my YouTube, right? And that's the reason why I would respond. So again, cold emails is extremely effective for B2B, right? And using cold emails, there's a guy I'm working with, his name is called Jordan. He started his cold email campaign on May 1st. So this screenshot was taken on May 8th. He had his first sales call and he signed his first client for $2,000 setup and $200 per call. We have Kevin, who signed a client yesterday, or yesterday on April 15th. So this screenshot is April 16th, where he signed for $3,500 and $300 per book call. We have Van, who signed a second client for $1,500 up front because he's using cold emails. All of these guys are using cold emails to reach out to the niche that they chose, explaining what they do and how to help the business owners generate more clients and generate new customers. They're jumping on a sales call and they're charging $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 for the service. So that's the cold email side of things. So cold emails, is very important that you understand this concept. Cold emails is just generating attention. You're reaching out to random people and you're seeing if they're interested in what you have to say. But just because someone's interested in what you have to say doesn't mean that they're ready to hand you their credit card and send you $5,000. In order for that to happen, you have to do something and increase the trust for people, because I could literally tell people, hey, I could help people become a millionaire tomorrow, but that doesn't mean that people are ready to pay me to make them millionaires, right? Not even that's possible, right? What I have to do is leverage something called a sales asset. And what a sales asset is it showcases your expertise and your authority. It proves to people that you're, number one, not a scammer, and number two, you know exactly what you're doing, and number three, you are worth paying money to do this service for, right? So if a sales asset is done well, you're showing your expertise, you're positioning yourself as an expert, and a good mindset to have behind a sales asset is asking yourself, why would someone pay you $3,000, right? There's a very legitimate reason. Now, the answer to this question for lead generation, if you're selling that as a service for your own lead generation agency, is the reason why someone would pay you $3,000 is because they believe that by working with you, by investing $3,000 with you, you're going to help them get new customers, new clients that will bring them back $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 worth of sales. So they're literally 10xing their money, right? So here's a question that I asked on Google of what a sales asset is. And based on Google, it says a sales asset is a resource that is used to accelerate sales, build rapport with the client, and other awesome things that make everyone on your sales team grin. So when you're first starting this, you're probably going to be taking your own sales calls. But what this does is a sales asset done well, it's kind of the sale before the sale, because it pre-sells your service for you. And a really good example of a sales asset is what I'd like to call video sales letters. Essentially, it's a 20 to 30-minute video that you put together running through business owners, how you can help them, what the expected outcome is. So how many clients would they sign? How many customers would they bring on? That type of stuff. And you're explaining the process. You're breaking down your process of what will happen if a business decides to work with you and how you will get them the desired result. And using this process, the cold emails and the sales asset, this was actually an example, a screenshot of my own calendar. I use Google Calendar, and there's a lot of stuff on here, but all the green calendar things on my calendar are actually sales calls, because using this process to cold email people, leveraging a VSL, I was able to fill my sales calendar. So I don't even know how many calls there are. I'm gonna assume that there are around 20 over here, but I was consistently booking sales calls for myself to sell my lead generation services to these business owners. And obviously a percentage of these people are gonna just take me up on my offer and say, sure, Jimmy, just send me the invoice for $3,000. I'm ready to get started. That's just the way it works. It's very, very simple. You're using cold emails to generate interest. You're using sales asset to prove that you know what you're talking about and to explain your service. And you're jumping on a sales call to essentially collect payments. You're talking with these business owners, see what they have to sell, see what they need help with, see if you can actually help them, and you're collecting payments at the end of the call. So here are a little bit more examples of people who are using this process. So we have Brian, who revamped his sales and lead generation process. He tested a new VSL, tested a new niche, and he was able to make $11,000 in a single month. We had Tom's, who was able to sign his first ever client. He has no experience, no case studies, none of that stuff. He signed his first client for $1,500. And over here, if you look at the screenshot over here, he said, and English is not even my first language. Right? But the reason that the sale was so easy for him was because the prospect, the person he jumped on the call with, was already pre-sold because of his VSL. So using this process, it makes sales extremely easy. If you don't have any sales experience, if you've never sold a single thing in your life, like Tom's, you need to be leveraging a video sales letter. That way, when you're jumping on these sales calls, you don't need to be the greatest salesperson in the world in order to actually make money, because by the time people jump on these Zoom calls, they already understand what you do, and they're just there to really just ask you logistical questions. So timeline questions, how much does this cost, that type of stuff. So the next part is the actual sales call, right? So it's great that you're generating interest from your cold emails. People are booking calls. What do you do with that? Well, what you have to do is you're jumping on these sales calls. And again, if you don't have any experience, don't be intimidated by this, because really anyone can do this. I literally believe that anyone with enough practice could become really good at sales. That's just the truth, right? But how do you close a sales call on a Zoom call without being pushy, without being slimy, without being a slimy and high pressure salesperson? So when I bought my car literally a few weeks ago, the salesperson was actually kind of high pressure, and I felt a lot of sales resistance, but I really wanted the car, so I bought it anyways. But there's a specific way that you want to be selling that doesn't involve you needing to do any of these things, right? And you have to understand that a large part of that is the sales asset. Because if you're leveraging a sales asset that breaks down your process and how you can help these business owners generate more clients, generate leads, find more customers, they're jumping onto these calls already pre-sold. And I asked on Google, and it actually says the average closing rate is actually 20%. So what that means is if you take 10 sales calls, you're probably going to close 2 clients, right? That's the average closing rate, 20%. So then one client, they're going to be paying you between $1,500 to $3,000. All of those examples I showed you earlier of other people doing this, they're charging anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 or $3,500 in Kevin's case. And they're doing this from a 40-minute Zoom call, right? And as part of the pricing structure, they're charging $1,500 to $3,000 upfront to set everything up, but they're also on an ongoing basis charging between $200 and $300 for every sales call that they generate for their clients. So what they're doing is they're using this entire process. They sign a client, they're going to be using the cold email process that you just did for your own agency to set that up for your clients. You're going to build your clients a sales asset, and you're going to start sending these cold emails, replying back to people, and booking sales calls. And every sales call that you book onto your client's calendar, that's considered a lead. And you're able to charge $200 to $300 for every lead or for every sales call that you generate for your client. So over here, back to this example of my screenshot of my calendar. Let's assume there are 20 sales calls over here in the green stuff over here. What that means is if I was closing at a 20% closing rate, I would literally have 4 clients. 4 clients that are paying me anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000. And that's all in 1 week. So what that means is I'll be making somewhere between, let's say, $6,000 and $10,000, depending on how much I was charging in this one single week. And that's exactly why this works so well, right? Cold emails is extremely easy. This funnel to actually do this and make money is very, very simple. Very, very simple, right? Here's actually a screenshot of some of my own invoices that I've collected at the end of these 40-minute sales calls, all in the Zoom. I hop on a 40-minute Zoom call. I don't know who these people are. I ask them some good questions, engage in a really good conversation. I ask them what they need help with. They tell me, oh, Jimmy, I want more customers. I want more clients. I want more leads. And then they ask me my price. I say $3,000, it's $4,500, it's $6,000. And people pay the invoice. And here's a screenshot of that, right? Using this, I made $10,000 in a single day. This was back in April, where I closed 3 people in a single day, right? Because sales calls, if done right, using this process, again, you're not being slimy, you're not being high pressure, and it just works really, really well because of the video sales letters. So again, with some more examples, right? We have Brian, who closed a client for $2,500 plus $300 per call that he generates. We have Chino, who signed his second client for $1,500 plus $200 per book call. A few weeks later, he messaged saying he signed his 6th client for $3,000. So you can imagine how much money he made in between then, plus $200 per call. We had Nelson, who literally said that he scheduled his first onboarding call. So he signed his first client for $1,500, and he never thought he would have closed so soon. So he started his lead generation agency on February 1st, and by March 15, the date of the screenshot, he made $1,500 by signing his first client using this process. We have Brian, again, right, who signed another client for $3,000 at 4 a.m. on a Sunday, building his business, right? So this process just works really, really well. And all of these guys, when they first started their business, their lead generation agency, they didn't have any experience. They have no case studies. They just started the lead generation agency, followed this process to a T, and was able to sign their first client and make thousands of dollars. So the next step is the service delivery. So you sign a client. Now what? Now, again, the best part about this business model and why I personally believe it is the most simplest and the best business model for beginners is because it's just super, super simple. What you're doing is you're delivering leads to your clients. So the specific process that involves is, number one, onboarding your client, making sure you have good client communication. So when they're sending you a message, make sure you respond in a timely manner and it doesn't take you a week to reply back to the message or question. Repeating the cold emails and the sales asset step. So again, you're repeating everything that you did in this step to help your clients generate sales calls. So literally what you did for yourself, you're doing that for your clients. And again, that's exactly why this service is so easy to sell, because you have proof of concept. By the time you're booking sales calls for yourself, you're literally able to refer to that on the sales call. When a business owner jumps on the call, you literally say to them, how do we book this call? Well, we emailed you, you were interested, you jumped on, and that's what we're doing for you. Exactly what we're doing for you. It's very, very simple. You only have to learn cold emails and how to build sales assets, and you're basically good to go, right? And obviously, you're making sure that you're delivering value to your clients. You're helping them actually sign customers, find new clients, and you're collecting case studies, which makes this entire process a lot easier. And that's how Spencer was able to scale to his first 20K month, because he started getting case studies. He started with no case studies. He got his first client. He collected a case study from that, and then he started scaling to $20,000. So here's a question that a lot of people have, and that is, what is the long-term financial rewards from this, the long-term profits? And again, the pricing structure that I would recommend people use when they're first starting out, the pricing structure I use to sign my first client for $3,000 is this. I start with a setup fee upfront to, I charge them a few $1,000s to set up the entire system, where it's again $1,500 to $3,000. And then for every single sales call that I generate for them, I'm collecting somewhere between $200 and $300. So what that means is, once you have a client, and let's say in a single month, you help them get 5 sales calls, which isn't hard. If you look at that screenshot of my calendar, I literally got 20 calls for myself. If you're only get 5 calls for your client, you're making $1,000 to $1,500. If you're getting 10 sales calls in a single month, you're making somewhere between $1,500 and $3,000. Again, mainly depending on how much you charge. If you are really good, or not even really good, if you're average and you get 20 sales calls, which is what I did in that screenshot earlier, you're literally making somewhere between $3,000 and $6,000 in a single month off of the leads. And the reason why businesses will pay you that much money is because if you're getting them 20 sales calls, they're probably going to close at least 1 client, probably more clients. And as a result, they're going to make way more than $6,000. If you're working with high ticket clients, every client that they sign is $10,000, right? So if they even sign 2 clients from that, they're making $20,000 from the leads that you generate for them. So that's exactly why they're able to pay you $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, because they're making money from the service that you are providing. So here's actually a screenshot of a case study from my own lead generation agency, right? Where I started working with him. He's a recruitment agency. And while working with him, he literally mentioned that he signed VMware from a lead that we generated for him. That's a massive tech company, VMware. It's $1 billion company. It's publicly listed. He signed VMware. And he's a recruitment agency. He's a recruiter. So this one deal literally netted him somewhere between $30,000 and $50,000, which is why he was so happy with paying me $3,000. He turned $3,000 into 50 grand, right? A few days later, he messaged me. Another company, Interlink Mortgage, just signed with him. Again, another 30 to 50 grand. And he paid me $3,000 to do this. And to be frank, I probably undercharged a little bit, but he was my first client. So I wasn't super comfortable charging him like 10 grand or something. So I charged him $3,000 and $300 per call. And again, right, we have some examples that I just went into. So that's what that process looks like. If you're looking to start your lead generation agency, the first thing you want to do is pick a niche. The second thing is learn how to cold email. The third one is how to build sales assets, how to take sales calls, and how to deliver for your clients. Follow these steps in detail, right? I have videos on my channel talking about how to do all of these things, right? Don't overthink it. It's very, very simple, and succeeding with a lead generation agency literally comes down to understanding each of these 5 steps and literally just executing on it. So the next thing that I wanted to cover is my journey from $0 to $10,000 to $50,000 per month. And the reason I want to share this is so you get a better idea of how specifically I was able to go from $0 to $50,000 in literally my first 12 months. And I put this graph. It's not the most accurate because I had to use like a pencil, and I came up with this bar chart. But I did my best, and it gets the job done, and it communicates the overall idea of my path for growth. So I started my own lead generation agency on October 2022. I was at $0. November, my second month, I was still at $0 because I was learning how everything works. But in December, my third month, I made $10,502.70, right? I signed 4 clients. My first client paid me $3,000, and my second, third, and fourth client paid me somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000, and it totaled up to $10,000. So by my third month, I was already at $10,000. In January, February, March, I continued scaling. I felt like I cracked the code. I just basically did what I did to get to $10,000 per month, and I basically just spammed it. That's essentially what I did. I continued growing until March, April, where I was at around $30,000 per month. And that is where I bought this watch. Actually, it's a Rolex because I really wanted the watch, and I hit a milestone, which was $30,000 per month. And that's when I bought the watch. And then from June to around August, my revenue, the amount of money I made, dipped a little bit because truthfully, I wasn't taking my business as seriously as I should have. I made more money, right? From the point of October to basically May, I started making money. I wasn't struggling anymore financially, and I wanted to see the world. I wanted to travel, right? So I went to Asia, I went to Japan, I went to Korea, I went to Thailand, I went to Greece, I went to all of these places. But while I was traveling, I kind of took my foot off the pedal a little bit. So my revenue kind of stagnated a little bit. It fell back down to around the 20 to 25K per month. And then once I got back from all of my trips, I got that out of my system back in September. I was like, all right, enough is enough. Time to continue scaling. I found something that works. I understand how this business model works, and I just believed in the potential. So I just put my foot back on the pedal, started sending cold emails again, focused on working with my clients, getting them great results, doing what I did to go from 0 to 30K per month. And again, I spammed it. And by December of 2023, I was at 50K per month. So over here, I actually couldn't find a screenshot of my revenue from the month of December 2023. But as you can see, I made $55,000 in the previous month. And this one is $57,000 from January 1st to January 31st. So I made 50K, right? And that's basically what I did. And that was my first year in business. Again, right now is coming up to my second year in business. So next month, in October, it'll be my second year in business. And I've made a little bit over $750,000 in business doing this because this process just works. And I am literally proof that building a lead generation agency works. It's a really easy, I won't say easy, but it's a really simple business model for beginners. Anyone can do this. You don't need any experience. I was flipping burgers at McDonald's. I literally didn't know what I was doing, and I was still able to do this. All it takes is for you to commit to this actual business model. You have to believe that this works, and you just have to execute and actually take action on how this works. So that's basically how this works. So you have two options from here. So there's two types of people who are watching this video. The first types of people who are watching this video, you're probably just in the information stage. So you're browsing YouTube videos, you're watching Reels, you're watching TikTok, doing all these things, watching other people make money with their online business. You're just seeing what is most interesting to you, and you're not really that serious, you're not ready to commit. And if that's you, I would strongly suggest you just find a business model and start picking one immediately, right? You will never find a perfect business model, and I'm not even saying that to convince you to start a lead generation agency. I'm generally saying that because from someone who's tried other businesses, dropshipping and marketing agencies, and now the lead generation agency, when I first started, I didn't have that moment where I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best business model, this is the perfect business model. I just found something that I believed in that logically made sense, and I just started it, right? And obviously my first two businesses failed, but this really, really took off. So you need to pick a business model, right? It doesn't matter what it is. Think about what you want to do and just pick a business model. Now, the second type of people are people who decide to start their own lead generation agencies. And I'll be truthfully transparent with you. Not every single person who starts a lead generation agency succeeds, but that's every single business. Most businesses actually fail. But the reason why most people don't succeed is because, there's a lot of variables. Probably the largest one is they just don't know what they're doing. They don't get the support that they need. They're not executing on the right things, or they're kind of just procrastinating and focusing on things that don't really matter. So for example, a lot of people, when they're starting the lead generation agency, they focus on building a really fancy website. And I'm here to tell you that building a really fancy website is not going to get you paid. The things that get you paid is focusing on these things over here, right? Picking a good niche, cold emailing, building sales assets, and taking sales costs. Those are the things that will get you paid. It's not all the other stuff like setting up a corporation, getting incorporated, building a website, doing all these things. Make sure you're focusing on the right things, all the things that I just shared in today's video. Now, the other type of people is people who want to start this business and wants to see success ASAP. Because I literally believe that anyone can go from $0 to $10,000 per month. Literally anyone can do it. Because all you have to do to go from $0 to $10,000 per month is, number one, learn a skill and monetize that skill, right? As a lead generation agency, the skill you're learning is the skill of lead generation, how to find new customers, how to find people who are interested in what you or your clients have to sell. That's the skill that you're learning. And once you learn that skill, which doesn't take that long, you're able to sell that skill to help other people by using the skill you just developed, and you're charging money as a result. So anyone could go from $0 to $10K per month. The question is, how long does it take? For me, I was able to do this by my third month. Within 60-ish days, I started in October, and by December, I was at 10K per month because maybe I got lucky, but I just focused on the right things, and that's why I was able to do it. So anyone could do it, but some people, it takes them half a year, some people, it takes them a year, and the largest reason that separates those people from the people like me who was able to go from $0 to $10K in a relatively short period of time, in literally 60 days, in basically 2.5 months, is because I focused on the right things, and whenever I had questions, I had someone to ask them to solve these concerns, solve these questions, solve these problems that I had, right? And I also have a lead generation agency consulting program where I work with people one-on-one to help them start their own lead generation agency, right? Where they're working directly with me, someone who is making 50, 60K per month with their own lead generation agency. And anytime people have problems starting their business and scaling it to 10K, everything you can imagine, I've probably been there and I've done that, and I can answer all of those questions and provide the solutions, right? So here are some examples of people that are successfully starting their own lead generation agencies. So we have Michael, who closed out his second month at $13,000. In his second month doing this, he made $13,000. We have Kevin. I have an interview with him on my YouTube channel. You could probably find that as well. He went from $0 to $9,500. So $500 short of $10,000 in a single month with his lead generation agency. He was able to do this, I think, in his second month as well. With Spencer, I just showed you earlier in the beginning of this video, he went from $0 to $11K in his first 60-ish days, and then he scaled it up to $20K per month, which is where he was at. Most recently, we have Tyler, who was a sales rep who hated his job and wanted to find another way. He was working at a company in sales, and he felt like this would be a good fit for his skill set. He went from $0 to $6,500 in literally his first month with his own lead generation agency. These are people who are successfully running their own lead generation agencies and actually making money with their own online businesses. These guys are working a few hours per week, 5 to 10 hours a week, and they're able to do this. So again, you have two choices. You could go and ignore this and go on to the next YouTube video. That's completely fine. You can take what I shared with you in today's video, try to start your own lead generation agency, which again is completely fine as well. I have a lot of videos on my YouTube channel talking about everything you need to know in order to sign your first client and make money from that. You could go and try to do that yourself. Or if you want to make money and get to $10,000 per month ASAP in the next 90 days, in the next 3 months, then in the first link in the description, I included a link to my calendar where you can set up a time. We'll jump on, I'll ask you some questions, see what you're looking for, see how I can help you, what your goals are, and work with you together to start your own lead generation agency, build out all of these things that I just walked you through, help you pick a niche, help you write your cold emails, help you build your sales asset, review your sales calls, and the goal is by the end of that 90-day period, you be at $10,000 per month. I did it in less than 90 days. Other people I just showed you did it in less than 90 days as well. So this is 100% possible. But you have to be committed. You have to take action on everything you're supposed to be doing. Otherwise, you just simply won't make money. But that's pretty much what I wanted to share in today's video. If you like this video, make sure you drop me a like. Make sure you drop me a subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. See ya.